Welcome back to the show. We got a great one lined up. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You could follow us on X, YouTube, and DigPerspectives.com for exclusive content. Right now, $3.44 trillion market cap. The market is off 2.8% at the time recording this video. Bitcoin, 108,000 plus. Ethereum, 2,500 plus. XRP is 229 at the number 4 spot, off 1.1 in the 24, up 4.2 on the 7-day. Range of price very quickly between 226 and 233. Now, I want to get into this, but I want to show you this very quickly here. It's Caleb and Brown, ladies and gentlemen. This is what you've been waiting for since I got into crypto. No more worrying if I've been hacked, if my transfers went through, or if I set my market orders correctly. With Caleb and Brown, I finally have institutional grade custody free, and my XRP and a real person I can speak with anytime I need support. They have completely eliminated the fear of losing my assets struggling with self-custody. Caleb and Brown is redefining what service should look like for everyday investors. This is a total game changer. No doubt about it. Go to xrpwealth589.com or simply click the link underneath the video and get started today. Now let's get into this. FYI, Link2 has officially filed for bankruptcy. This just in. Look, this means that our NDAs are going to be null and void. Now, I will be sitting down with John Deaton here directly, and I can tell you there will be lots to say about all of this, and you're about to hear from me like you've never heard before. Brace yourself, buckle up. The children are about to get blasted. And what we need to do is focus on one thing, because I have one goal, and this I can share with you right now. It is to ensure that all of the customers get the absolute best outcome for everything and everyone involved. No question about it. That is the ultimate goal and the ultimate outcome. We will keep you up to date as this develops, but there will be a lot more to say about all of this in the very near term. Stay tuned for more. Now, I want to play this for you because I mentioned this yesterday in a video, and here's a guy talking about it. Mara CEO Fred Thiel. And he warns about the saturation of Bitcoin treasury companies. And he references the volatility of Bitcoin, how it'll go up and then retrace 80, 90% for a very long period of time, and how that could impact corporate treasuries in a very negative way. Take a listen to his insight.
The problem is what happens if Bitcoin price stays flat or starts to go down. You said his stock was up over a 5-year basis by a huge amount, which is true. But if you look from year to date at its performance compared to the Bitcoin miners, even, you're starting to see that performance is running into headwinds. In theory, a Bitcoin treasury company's price should increase by upwards of 2 times whatever Bitcoin's price is increasing on a daily basis because of the leverage that they're driving. And that's not the case anymore. I think what we're starting to see is the saturation of the Bitcoin treasury business market, because to your point, they're not in any other business. They're taking over a company with a marginally profitable business, and they're turning it into an accumulator for Bitcoin. And at the end of the day, you have a bunch of people competing for capital, and that capital is going to go to the highest return, which means the lowest multiple to NAV. And over time, that multiple to NAV is eventually going to go to 0, not unlike what happened with Grayscale, where for a long period of time, the Grayscale Trust, which held Bitcoin, was trading at a discount to its NAV. And I think there's risk, especially as you layer a lot of debt on these companies. If Bitcoin goes down by any considerable amount or stagnates for any length of time, there could be challenges for them to maintain that multiple.
There you have it. And what an excellent observation that is. This is a very, very tricky situation, and you don't want to see these corporates and these others take positions that are so heavy that it causes them a negative boomerang effect, right? From being so heavy on the asset that the volatility of the asset begins to impact you and your business negatively. So we'll keep an eye on it, but a very, very valid point. And the only person I'm hearing talk about it at the moment. Meanwhile, I want to highlight this because this just shows proliferation of the new digital on-chain economy. XRP Ledger and the EVM sidechain officially launched a week ago and have over 1,400 smart contracts deployed on the new sidechain in a week, in the first week. This is just the beginning. It's a drop in the bucket, I know. But, this is happening inside the community, inside the digital asset space, getting that interoperability taking place, the proliferation of interoperability across multiple networks. But at the same time, there's a lot happening outside of the digital asset space. And I want to focus on that because today, Brad Garlinghouse will be testifying in front of the Senate committee on market infrastructure. And this is a big, big deal. And I don't think people have given it quite the look that it needs at this point. So Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse will testify later today at 10 a.m., I believe, in the Senate crypto hearing. This isn't just about Ripple, it's about XRP entering the heart of the U.S. financial policy, regulation, stablecoins, tokenization, liquidity warfare. XRP is at the center of the storm. I think Pompeius has got it right. That's exactly how I'm seeing it. And, what exactly is going to be covered? It's the U.S. Senate Banking Committee today at 10 a.m., 10:15 to be exact. And the purpose is to discuss proposed legislation aimed at clarifying the regulatory framework for digital assets, addressing ambiguities in crypto regulation. Now, the title of this is From Wall Street to Web3. And you know what the title and the theme of XRP Las Vegas 25 was? The Evolution of Finance and Web3. Not bad. Not bad. Key legislation in front of us: Clarity's Act, Genius Act, Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act. Witnesses will be Brad Garlinghouse from Ripple, Summer Mersinger from Blockchain Association, Jonathan Levine from Chainalysis, Dan Robinson from Paradigm, Timothy Masad, former CFTC chairman, research fellow at Harvard's Kennedy School, Richard Painter, professor at corporate law, University of Minnesota, and chaired by Senator Tim Scott, Senate Banking GOP chairman, and Senator Cynthia Lummis. Remember, she cold-shouldered Brad Garlinghouse just a month or two ago. Let's hope that that's over. But this is what we're talking about here, and this is a very big deal. Now, let me keep moving because we've come a long way, ladies and gentlemen. It was back in 2020, right before Christmas, that the SEC decided to charge Ripple and two executives with conducting $1.3 billion in unregistered securities offering. And we know now how far we've come, where Ripple is winning that case, and it's about to end. We also know, going all the way back to 2015, FinCEN, a regulator connected directly to the U.S. Treasury, the prudential regulator, gave a virtual currency designation to XRP in 2015. They fined them for some things that they had done, but nonetheless, they got a virtual currency designation from the U.S. Treasury FinCEN regulator, prudential regulator. And then you never hear about Ripple and XRP the way you do about anything else. No one ever talks about the massive global partnerships like HSBC. You never hear it unless it's in our community. You never hear about Ripple partner with BBVA testing SEPA, instant international payments, all the way back in 23. You never hear anybody except people in our community talking about these things. Or how about the idea that we've been drowned out because everyone talks about Bitcoin or Ethereum, and how Bitcoin's ETF is the youngest top 25 biggest ETF at 1.4 years old, and it's the fastest growing ETF in history. I'm happy for them, but we get drowned out. And just like XRP at one time was the number 2 market cap in this space. Listen to Brad Garlinghouse remind everyone of that fact. And then Ethereum got the free pass while we got sued.
Yeah, so what's affecting the price of XRP has been the SEC. People forget, frankly, before the SEC got involved in the crypto markets, XRP was the second most valuable digital asset, ahead of ETH. And then the SEC got involved and said, hey, we think ETH is probably okay, and ETH went up. And then they sued Ripple, and XRP went down. This is not how our government is supposed to work. We're supposed to have a level playing field and have equal opportunity. We shouldn't have our government picking winners and losers in this regard. We think in the long run will prevail, and that'll sort itself out. But for now, it's frustrating for the community, and I liked the way you characterized it, for the XRP family.
Exactly right, and well said by Brad Garlinghouse. And then here we see Donald Trump posted after winning the election that tweet that clearly said XRP, Solana, and ADA would be going into a crypto strategic reserve, and that would set the tone for the United States becoming the crypto capital of the world. The President of the United States said the name XRP, right? Amazing. And then we saw Brad Garlinghouse, President Trump, and Stuart Alderati, Chief Legal Officer for Ripple, having dinner with the president. And then we saw Brad Garlinghouse connecting, having great conversations with none other than Senator Tim Scott, the head of the Senate committee that he's going to be sitting in front of later today. And how about when they had the Crypto White House Summit, where Brad Garlinghouse is sitting at the end of this table, right down the road from President Trump, and sitting directly by the Honorable Chris Giancarlo. How about that? What a small world this is. So Brad Garlinghouse will be testifying later today, and I happen to feel that it's a little more profound than most people are considering. For one, we have seen multiple industry leaders testify in front of Congress, but it's never been Brad. It's never been Brad. And at the end of the day, I happen to feel like a lot of people really haven't had it hit them what I think is about to happen later today. Brad Garlinghouse will be testifying in front of the Senate committee. And I can't help but feel like today, I wrote this yesterday, but today is going to be a historic day for XRP, the beginning of a coronation, a crowning of a king for Ripple and XRP, if you will. Because Brad is testifying in front of the Senate committee, XRP and the XRP ledger will be mentioned and discussed by senators inside the halls of the Senate going forward at the exact same time that the SEC versus Ripple case is ending. And at the exact same time that Ripple released a U.S. digital dollar like the real USD. At the exact same time that Ripple just so happens to file for a national banking charter and a master account with the Federal Reserve. And I'll add this. And at the exact same time that Ripple acquires Hidden Road for clearing and settlement of derivatives. And at the exact same time that Hidden Road gets approval from the DTC to help in the netting system of clearing and settlement for over $2 quadrillion worth of derivatives each year. I'm sure it's nothing. No, I'm just kidding. Lock in. I don't know what Brad will say today, but I will not be shocked if he says something about we're Ripple the company, we use an asset called XRP and a layer one protocol called the XRP ledger. At the very least, I see that happening, and it'll be exciting to see exactly what is said. Look, it's not financial advice from me or anyone else. I'll catch all of you on the next one.